Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Now joining us in this segment is Ayo Teriba, CEO, Economic Associates, and a resident economist. Now to the next subject. Shehu Sani, the senator representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District at the National Assembly, has revealed Nigerian senators' best-kept secret, their pay packet. In a recent interview, Sani said he and his colleagues received 13.5 million monthly as running costs, in addition to over 700,000 naira monthly consolidated salary and allowances of each member of the Senate. The revelation by the senator is the first time a member of the National Assembly will confirm speculations that Nigerian senators are earning 41.5 million quarterly as running costs. And there are many Nigerians who believe that these senators are overpaid and underworked. And there are many Nigerians who are even saying, look, the parliament in Nigeria should be a part-time engagement, and it shouldn't be a place for people to collect rent from the state. This particular revelation has caused great alarm and anxiety among Nigerians who think that indeed our lawmakers are underworked and grossly overpaid. Teriba, you are just joining us. What do you think?
Right.
Because if you do the conversion, I mean, in a country where people survive on less than
$1 a day.
$1 a day. I mean, a senator collecting 14.5 million a month, you know, that's a lot.
13.5. So $37,000 about.
That's $37,000 a month?
Yeah.
Right.
In running costs, and that's not inclusive of their salaries.
Yeah.
And then other benefits they get, like car allowance, wardrobe allowance, and
no wonder elections have become do or die affairs in Nigeria.
Oh, yes.
You only need to get elected and you are settled for life. Now,
you have to be careful.
Well, but these are the facts of the matter.
You have to be careful what you make of the disclosure of their running costs.
Okay.
Running costs are not salaries.
It's just that they're allowances.
Running costs implies expenses, not salaries. So when you say, if you know their running costs and you feel it's
yeah, they have said,
that doesn't mean that they are overpaid.
They've said those running costs are for constituency engagements and all that. And we have seen some of these senators. One senator the other day bought one electric pole and donated to his community.
But let's be very clear.
Yes, and it was a big issue.
Mr. Teriba, let's be very clear. And we've maintained this consistently because we've had a cause to lead protests to the National Assembly, and they've very gladly given us their pay slips to show their salaries, which is about $1 million naira, to make the point that they're not earning enough, number one. Their salaries are not controlled by them. It's set by, there's a commission that sets salaries for public staff.
So yes,
exactly, commission. No questions around that. What has consistently been in contention are their allowances. And these running costs are part of those allowances, which is why they have 125 billion naira budget every year, which is a top-line charge, which means regardless of what's going on, the National Assembly gets paid. Not only that, for 7 years, the National Assembly did not have a budget that was made public. And it took us 4 years of advocacy to get them to release their budgets, which they finally did last year, after 4 years of advocacy. Now, if you put all these side by side with the fact that it is only one sitting senator, after he's been in office for almost 3 years, whose background was as a civil society activist, who goes into Senate, and he has been consistently hounded that this is one of the things you said you would do, finally now makes it public his running costs. Not one of his colleagues has said a word about what he said. And also remember that when Abdulmumin Jibrin was suspended from the House in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, this was part of the reasons why he was suspended, because he was saying that
he complained about budget padding.
Exactly.
Although there's nothing called budget padding, really.
But basically, that's for another day. He basically complained about their mismanagement of funds, and that's how I choose to call budget padding.
Okay.
That's basically what Abdul, and he was suspended in 2016. Another travesty of justice. His constituency has been deprived representation from then until we're speaking today. So within that context, what we make of it is that our National Assembly is grossly overpaid.
Let's add a little more context.
Sorry, and then let me just also be clear. And when you say someone is overpaid, it's not a function of salary. The point is the Nigerian government pays them, i.e., I, as a Nigerian citizen, contribute to the money they get. So in saying that they're overpaid, we're saying the monies that come into their hands, and this is not a salary conversation, the monies that come into their hands is more than the work that they do.
Overpaid and overfunded are two different things. If the money I'm being given
and underworked
is to fund my operations, it's not payment to me. It's expenses.
No, it's not. If there are no expenses, especially expenses, sorry, let's be very clear, sir.
Yes.
Especially expenses you do not have to declare. Mr. Sonny said I have to show receipts. Mr. Sonny can literally show receipts for anything. I can show receipts that I had a meeting in my constituency and it cost 10 million naira. End.
Or that you dug a borehole.
Hallelujah.
Which is a fact.
I've done it. So I show you a receipt for it.
Information. Mind you, Nigeria has 109
senators, 360 House of Rep members.
Right, so you have 109 senatorial districts. So effectively, you are carving Nigeria's 774 local government areas into 109 senatorial districts. So the amount you have discovered, 40-something million naira a month.
No, 13.5 million a month.
No, you mentioned
per quarter. Just multiply that by 3.
So 13.5 million naira a month to cover each of the 109. Yeah. Let's try and.
So you think it's chicken change?
Maybe they're underfunded.
No. That's even. I'm sorry, Mr. Teriba. You're actually making a mockery. No. You're actually making a mockery of a very serious matter that I take very personal.
Yes.
Look, it's 109 senators.
Yes.
But the same senatorial district is overlapped by federal constituencies, overlapped by state constituencies. So what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying that.
So
you have to find out.
Let me bring
they're getting money at those 3 levels.
See, doing different things.
See, the two of you are even presenting better arguments than the senators. Because what the senators are saying is that Shehu Sani is a traitor and that he will no longer be invited to meetings involving finance and that he may be sanctioned for talking recklessly because he has put them in trouble, that their constituents will now have higher expectations and, their constituents will ask for more money from them. These are their own concerns.
Exactly.
The argument you are putting on for them, that's not their own concern. The concern is that the secret has been revealed.
Exactly.
So, Prof, the Senate, the National Assembly seems to have a tradition of sanctioning anybody that blows a whistle in that place. So what should be the real concern of the National Assembly? Because they are more concerned that why should Nigerians know this?
What we do.
So you have a National Assembly that doesn't believe in transparency and accountability.
How can they hold the executive accountable? Which is their job?
When you have clearly and rightly explain the concerns of the Senate, why are you also asking me again? Because you see, the loophole in Ayo's argument is that he doesn't see Sonny, who blew the whistle, as a bona fide elected member of the Senate. Somebody who participates actively, who knows much about what is ongoing. You are now telling us here that we should disbelieve him. Somebody who is a plenipotentiary, quote and unquote.
No, we already believe him.
So, please, we
are trying to find if it's justifiable or not. It's not a question of not believing him.
Voluntarily.
Yes.
He's not under question.
Yes.
He came up openly to tell us this is what we are faced with. And he's now asking us, as people who voted them in, to have a reflection on this type of situation. So if you are now trying to rationalize, then you are rationalizing out of context. So you see, the fact is that at the end of the day, the National Assembly is much concerned about the revelation of what they consider top secret, confidential, in fact, the military will say restricted, right? Restricted, secret, classified. So, you see, at the end of the day, you are not elected there to go and form a kingdom of your own that will no longer have any linkage with the people who elected you.
What are you elected to do?
So please, you are elected to promote honesty of purpose, objectivity of purpose, service to the nation.
And to make laws for good governance.
That will involve
even that one is put in black and white.
That will involve expenses.
No, please hold on. What is expenses?
Yes.
Please, you try to be academic
No, I'm trying to be factual.
That's not fact. We don't call that one fact.
What is the fact? No, sorry, sir. What fact have you stated?
Trying to relate the money.
Trying.
To the,
so what is
to
the
what
you cannot be stating a fact and be trying,
to be incurred.
You cannot be stating a fact
until
and be
we
trying.
Find out. We are in no position
what
to
are you
make
trying
a
to
judgment.
Find out? No, what are you trying to find out?
Because we can't take the money in isolation with what it's being spent on.
But the gentleman said it himself. No, Mr. Abati, this is extremely important. Let's not mince words and let's not confuse the issues.
Yes.
Mr. Sonny himself said they get 13.5 million naira a month for running costs, of which they don't have to retire, but just show receipts of use. And the receipts can be really for anything. And in his own points, it's excess money, if I want to use those words. So what fact are you trying to establish?
So you're asking for more accountability. You want receipts, that's what you're saying.
Quickly, so that we can move on to another subject. Prof, what are you suggesting? Should our lawmakers act like the Canadian doctors who say they have been overpaid in a country where nurses and other health workers...
Ask probable questions.
No, really.
Or should we have a part-time parliament where people don't, see politics as a means of livelihood?
Have another source of income and just come and serve and make laws. That's really what we need.
I think what I will recommend generally is to make politics, political governance, not financially attractive. All right. Whether it is part-time or full-time, let there be service to the nation. And in that case, we'll be able to move forward.
Yes, Yemi, any last thoughts on
Last time to your question. I mean, I think it's shown clearly, over a 10-year period, our National Assembly spent over R1 trillion. They come in, regardless of what's going on in the country, we buy new cars, we're paying for what they wear because they get a wardrobe allowance, we're paying for the newspapers they read, we're paying for their staff, and the value that Nigerians get falls very short of how much Nigerians are paying to keep them in office. So I definitely support a part-time legislative arm.
Well, Teriba, I don't know whether I should ask you for any last thought.
Ask him, so we'll have
You think they need more money? You think the money is not enough?
The money is not enough.
Until we know their workload. And the implied
expenses. How can you say you don't know their workload? They're your national legislators, Mr. Teriba.
Whether it's part-time or full-time, expenses have to be incurred.
What kind of expenses? Brand new cars every year?
Well,
I mean, really, Mr. Teriba. In a country where people are living under $1 a day, they are spending...
Let's move on to the next subject. The United Kingdom wants to build a prison in Kirikiri. The British government has announced plans that it will build a new wing at the Kirikiri prison in Lagos, Nigeria. The proposed 112-bed wing will cost the British government £700,000 and be compliant with United Nations standards, which will make it easier for Britain to comply with a prisoner transfer agreement it signed with Nigeria in 2014, where eligible prisoners serving criminal sentences in Nigeria and Britain can be returned to complete their sentences in their respective countries. Plans are well underway, as the British Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, in a written statement to Parliament, has confirmed that tenders have been placed and a supplier identified to conduct the building work at Kirikiri. Now, this is an old subject. Many Nigerians in prisons all over the world, but the British, they want to bring them back home and keep them here. Prof.
Yes, it's an ongoing debate. It has been there for long. This idea of coming to build a prison here in Nigeria started under Olusegun Obasanjo. The Nigerian prisoners worldwide have been complaining about the mistreatment, bad environment, conditions of imprisonment in Nigeria. They do not want to come to Nigeria. I remember, for instance, a delegation led by Ojoma Dueke to Indonesia. Abike Dabiri was on the delegation. We went there. The Nigerian prisoners were cursing the parents of Ojoma Dueke and all the members of the delegation. They were even praying that our place should collapse, should crash. Really? Because we had come to plead for the commutation of their death sentence to life imprisonment to be served in Nigeria. But they said that, look, no, they do not want to leave Indonesia. They got their own lawyers. So the same thing, the same argument has been advanced at the level of Nigerian prisoners in the UK. The British people complained bitterly to the government of Britain that, look, they are paying too much, all right, for prisoners. That the number of British prisoners in the prison there, just a significant number. Most of them, they are foreigners. And Nigerians, particularly, are leading in terms of how many Africans, something. So they do not want to pay. And they are now compelling the British government to find a solution to it. That was why, for instance, the British government now raised the issue with the government of Nigeria to say, okay, look, here, since the Nigerian prisoners are saying the conditions of imprisonment do not fall within the context of human rights, that they must be treated very well, now they now said, okay, they will now build a new prison that will meet United Nations standard, all right? They will fund that, all those things. So those who are serving life sentence, all right, in the UK can now be transferred back home to continue with the same, what they consider, quote and unquote, better environment of imprisonment. So in this case, I think the British are simply implementing an agreement reached by London and Abuja on this matter.
Well, you see, the picture that Prof has painted is a comment on our criminal justice system.
Indeed.
And also on the state of our prisons. Prisons elsewhere are correctional facilities.
Yes, precisely.
But here in Nigeria, when you go to prison, it's a trip to hell. So, I mean, if the British build a prison in Ikoyi, I'm sure it will probably be the best prison in Nigeria. Because most of the prisons here, you know, you have issues of congestion, you have issues of... So, will it be a good idea to have one elite prison unit while other prisons in Nigeria are just the way they are?
There's a elite prison in Kaduna already. They call it open prison.
Okay.
Now the prisoners, in the morning, because they have been there and they are obedient, they are not seen to be threat, they are allowed to go out in the morning, all right? They won't wear any prison dress, yes. But they must come back at 4:30. But if you dare come back 4:31, 1 minute less, that privilege will be off, all right? So in this case, elite something is there. Please, go to Calabar prison. The padlock where Awolowo was put, that padlock
is still the same one there.
Is still there. The prison that the British built, please, I had the opportunity.
Yeah, the old Calabar prison.
Old Calabar prison.
Yeah.
Please, under Oluwadeniji, we visited all prisons in Nigeria. I had the opportunity to see what is there. Please.
You don't know what a prison feels like.
All the prisons they built in the past 5-10 years, you can't compare with what the British have put in place.
Okay, Prof. Well, prisons tend to be marked for different levels of security. You can have minimum security facility, medium security, or maximum security. I believe the liberty to go out and come back in the evening will be restricted to the minimum security, facilities. Now, this development is a very sad commentary on the Nigerian state. One has to face it. That another country wants to repatriate your nationals who are imprisoned there and feel that no facility in Nigeria is decent enough for them to be kept in. They must help you to build, somehow. It's not a good reflection on Nigeria. It's a slap on the face of Nigeria as a country. And if we could have avoided a situation where a foreign country will come and build prison facility for our own nationals in our country, we should. So which says that the conditions of Nigerian prisons are very poor, are very inhuman, and that the Nigerian government should adopt a policy of redeveloping our prisons nationwide. And then I do not think that even if Kirikiri had been an ideal location for a prison facility when it was originally created, I do not think that that location is economic, for a prison. If you look at the commercial value of the land, you should be using it for something that generates income, whether residential or shopping or office complex or even a hotel. So the Nigerian government needs to, the British government has relocated more than a dozen inner city prisons to less commercial locations. So the Nigerian government should follow suit. We have 228 prisons, that have deteriorated and that are sitting, on commercial property, that if you relocated them and you put the appropriate facilities there, Nigeria will make a lot of revenue from it.
One quick comment is that, somebody once told me that a prison is not like your normal building, that it costs a lot of money to build a prison. And the person was trying to explain the design to me. So sometimes when Nigerians talk about, let's build new prisons, they just think it's a conventional building. But it's not a conventional building because the walls are specially constructed.
You cannot be more correct.
Okay.
You see, the choice of Kirikiri, I can explain the rationale, is clear. One, the prisoners they are bringing, they are criminal prisoners, all right? Kirikiri is said to have the best maximum security. That's why they call it maximum security.
That's the structure,
yes, the structure is there.
No, but he's talking about the land. So that the structure can be built.
I understand. The location.
Yeah, yes.
I'm saying that already. Kirikiri appears to be the most suitable for the category of criminals, the prisoners that are bringing.
No.
You are talking about the land that they can build it elsewhere.
Yes.
All right. The building elsewhere already will not be consistent with the understanding the British reached with the government of Nigeria.
You're misunderstanding what he's saying. He's not even talking about the British wing, for example. He's just saying Kirikiri as a prison to start with should even be moved. So let's say, for example, we move it to Badagry.
Okay, the prison as a whole.
Yes.
Not just the wing.
No. So that the land can then be used for something else.
Just as the British government are moving there.
I actually agree with Mr. Teriba on something.
Right,
we should
I agree with you
actually note this converse.
Yes,
the whole long-term thing will be for Nigeria to take a look at the state of the prisons. And even also the criminal justice administration
I think this is an interesting
because the prison is, at the end, more or less, of the criminal justice administration chain. You are watching this day live, the Sunday talk show, here on Arise News with me, Ruben Abati. We're going to take a short break now, but when we return, we'll be talking about President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga's reconciliation agreement. Don't go away.